The US dollar is in danger. We are on the brink of another major shift in the global financial system, the system that has ruled the world over the last 80 years. For some people, this might seem like an exaggeration, but this is the greatest threat the US dollar has ever faced. For some people, this might not seem clear. The world has been talking about the changing world order over the last 20 years, but it did not happen. However, if you pay a very close attention, it is happening right in front of us, and it will continue happening. So let me show you step by step how the global financial system is changing and how it will continue changing to a completely different system where the US dollar is no longer the global reserve currency. If you look at the data, you will find out that the US dollar is still the most powerful currency in the world, because almost 58% of the global reserve currency is in dollars. The only real competitor the dollar has is the euro, that stands at around 20%. That number has been fluctuating over the last couple of years. The real danger that the dollar has faced once was back in 1980s and 1990s, when the US dollar as the global reserve currency fell below 50% to 47%. So if you compare it to today's numbers, it seems like the United States only became powerful. But that only happened because the United States almost lost the competition to Japan as the world's largest economy. The dollar was too powerful, so Ronald Reagan signed an agreement at the Plaza Accord with other major countries that they will devalue the dollar. So when the dollar was devalued, the Japanese economy turned into a bubble, and if you take it at value basis, then the dollar amounted to a smaller share of the global reserve currency. But then we all know what happened. The Japanese economy collapsed, and by the year 2000, it almost represented 71%. The real difference that you can find out is by looking at the numbers historically, because in 1965 and 1970s, 85% of the global reserve currencies were in dollars. So this was the dollar that dominated the entire world, and all other currencies, including the British pound that was the previous global reserve currency, only represented around 11% of the global reserve currencies. And this is a very interesting scenario that between 1965 to 1975, the British pound lost half of its global reserve currency status, and it fell from 25% to as low as 11%. What is more interesting is the dollar that represented almost 85% back in 1970s. Today it fell to 57%. And the trend is very clear. With each consecutive year, the dollar's role in the global financial system is becoming less and less relevant. The real question is, why do we need the global reserve currency in the first place? When we understand this, then we understand which currency will be the next global reserve currency. There are four fundamental reasons why we absolutely need the global reserve currency. First of all, for international trade. When you're trading within the borders of any country, let's take China, you can use the local currency. Inside China, everybody uses the Chinese yuan. Inside Canada, everybody uses the Canadian dollars. Inside the United States, you can use the US dollar. But what if countries want to trade with one another? What if you want to bring bananas from South America? What if you want to bring iPhones from China? That's when you need the global reserve currency so that these countries can trade with one another. The second reason is paying off foreign debt. Countries often borrow money from one another, especially when they are in a financial crisis. And paying you in your local currency that you can print is unsustainable, which is why everybody wants a currency that is so stable, that is so huge, that nobody is worried that currency is going to collapse anytime soon. The third reason is to stabilize your own currency. Imagine you have a little small country such as Singapore, and they have their own currency. Yes, Singapore is a very successful country, especially economically. However, it's a tiny country with a GDP of about $200 to $300 billion. And for them to stabilize their currency in the forex market, they need another currency that they can trust so that they can keep it as a reserve. So when they need it, they can use it to buy and sell their own currency currency in such a way that they will stabilize their currency in the forex market. And you can't be using any random currency. You need to use the currency that you can trust, and that's the currency that we call the global reserve currency. And finally, because everybody wants to invest. There is so much wealth in the world. There are so many rich people in the world, and nobody wants to simply sit on their cash. There are so many people who want to become rich. And in order to invest in different currencies, in order to invest in different countries, you need one single currency, or at least a currency that you can trust, and investors from all across the globe can trust, so they can start investing. And the only currency today that can fill all of these four requirements is the US dollar. However, the dollar is on track and it's falling down. So this is exactly most likely that is going to happen by 2030, because more and more countries are rejecting the dollar. More and more countries are moving to different currencies. And that's because the US debt is becoming unsustainable. Now, for some people, the US debt is not a problem. But if you cannot pay off your debt, if you cannot pay off the interest on your debt, that's when things get out of control. When you borrow money in the beginning, it's not a big deal. But when you have borrowed so much money that you can barely afford the interest on your debt, that's when the people who loaned you that money will get worried about you. Imagine you're making $100,000 and you have a mortgage, you have a car loan, and if you would take all of your interest payments, they would amount to $10,000 a year. Investors won't actually be worried at this point because that's 10% of your annual income. But then suddenly, when your debts grow so much, when you have to pay half of your income into interest payments, that's when investors will think about, should we actually loan you more money because you can't afford your current debts? If you look at the trajectory, the US debt is going to cross $45 trillion by 2035. Currently is about $38 or $39 trillion, and the trajectory that by the end of the next year it will cross $41 trillion, and we have another few years where it will cross $45 trillion. And this is the most conservative number. According to other estimates, there is a probability that this number will exceed $45 trillion. But let's be a bit more conservative and a bit more optimistic. Given the fact that the average interest rate on the US debt is 3.4%, the total interest payments will be $1.5 trillion. Last year and this year, the interest payments amounted to a total amount of $1 trillion. Within the next 5 years, we're moving to $1.5 trillion. And this is not the amount of debts that we're paying. This is simply the interest in order for the US government to avoid a default. And that will equal to almost a quarter of all the government revenue that the US government is generating from taxes, because the total revenue is expected to be about $6.5 trillion by 2035. This is unsustainable, and that's why starting from now, and it has already been happening for the last couple of years, more and more countries are trying to use different currencies in international trade. You hear the news that there are countries that use the yuan when they trade with China. There are countries that are literally selling their oil in euros instead of the dollar. And that trajectory will continue, which means that the role of the dollar in the global trade is only going to diminish. But the United States is not going to lose its status as the global reserve currency, and it will continue holding around 50 to 60% of the share of the global reserve currency. Currently, it's about 57%. It might fall by a couple of percentages, but most likely that's not going to happen. The real change is going to happen between 2030 and 2035. This is the breaking point in the United States history, because the US debt is expected to cross $60 trillion. This is when investors will look at the US debt and they're like, we no longer trust the United States. We want higher interest payments. This debt is unsustainable. So the average interest rate on the US debt most likely is going to grow to 4%, because with this kind of debt, investors will require slightly higher interest rates. And because we are entering this new phase of high inflation rate, it is very normal for investors to demand a 4% interest rate. Inflation currently is about 3%. And based on all the trajectory that I see, it is very unlikely that inflation is going to fall below 3% in the foreseeable future. So we're actually taking simply an extra 1 percentage point above the inflation. And that inflation is again does not actually represent the reality on the ground. Because when you look at asset price inflation, that inflation is much higher. The interest payments at this point are going to exceed $2.4 trillion. Can you imagine that for a moment? That the US government has to pay in interest payments alone $2.4 trillion annually just to avoid a default. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, the total revenues of the US government by 2035 will be about $8 trillion. So you're making $8 trillion and almost 2.4 or between 2.4 and 2.5 trillion dollars goes into interest payments. And that will force the US government to borrow even more money to ensure that the United States does not default on its loans. And based on the Congressional Budget Office as well, the total deficit by then will be about $2.7 trillion. But the reason we're borrowing $2.7 trillion is because we have to make an interest payment of $2.4 trillion. So it's basically the US government is borrowing from one investors to pay off other investors. And it turned into this giant pyramid scheme that already became unsustainable because you literally don't have enough investors to pay off your previous investors. At this point, more countries will try to use regional currencies to trade among themselves because they look at the US debt and there is less trust. There isn't as much trust as it was in the past. And for the first time ever since 1990s, the dollar's share, the global reserve currency, falls below 50%. Because countries are trading less in dollars, they don't need as many dollars as it was in the past. So they try to reduce their share and their exposure to the US dollar, and that's how the dollar's share, the global reserve currency, falls below 50%. But there isn't a single currency on the other side that can challenge the dollar. So the dollar is still the dominant power, is still the global reserve currency. To keep buying US treasuries to avoid the dollar from collapsing, investors will demand higher interest rate. But let's say for the sake of simplification and give the United States the benefit of the doubt and be a bit more optimistic about the future of the US debt, let's assume that we will stick to the 4% of interest rate. Between 2035 and 2045, the United States realizes the reality that we need massive debt reforms. Either the US economy is going to collapse. The debt has crossed $71 trillion. This is far more than most people can possibly imagine. This is already unsustainable. We can't get more investors, so we have to do something. There will be a political chaos in the United States. At this point, the United States is paying $2.8 trillion in interest payments annually. And given the fact that the United States GDP will be around $47 trillion, the total government's revenue is most likely going to amount to almost $9 trillion. So 30% of the US budget goes into interest payments, and the United States has no other option but to borrow trillions of dollars, about $3 to $4 trillion annually. And all of that money will simply go into paying off the interest payments. So the United States is not borrowing money to grow the economy. It's not borrowing money to build infrastructure. It's not borrowing money even to fund the military. Every money that the US government is borrowing at this point is simply to pay off the interest. Investors start to lose confidence, and more countries start to move away from the dollar because they can simply see that this is the US economy, this is the US budget, and this is the US debt. And the United States already cannot possibly pay off the interest. So it's literally just borrowing from the rest of the world to pay the interest on its previous debts. So countries, because they're using the dollar less and less, we're moving into a new system that is called multipolar reserve system. There isn't a single currency that can challenge the United States. So countries, to diversify their portfolio, to diversify their risks, they will simply move away from the dollar slowly. The United States will continue being the global reserve currency, but at this point, it's just 35%. The only other currency that can challenge the United States is the euro, which will grow from 20% that it's right now to 30%, maybe even to 35%. What makes the euro so unique compared to the Chinese yuan is that The European Union, with all of its problems, is still a very transparent system. And you, as an investor or a foreign country, you want a transparent system to know that if you're holding the currency of that country, you can see what exactly is going on. Because if you compare it to China, yes, China is the second world's largest economy, and maybe one day it will become the largest economy in the world. But China is a very closed society, is a very closed economy. You don't trust the numbers. Investors are skeptical about every number that the Chinese government is publishing. But nonetheless, the share of the Chinese yuan as the global reserve currency will increase regardless, because as the Chinese economy keeps growing, more and more countries are trading with China, and you were forced to use the Chinese yuan to trade with China. China is giving loans in trillions of dollars to all these countries. And when you receive those loans, you're receiving them in the Chinese yuan. And now you have to pay that loan, and then also you have to pay the interest on those loans, and you're going to pay in the Chinese yuan. So more countries are now using the Chinese yuan, and its share as the global reserve currency starts to rise because countries are forced to use the Chinese yuan. So its share most likely is going to grow to 15%, and all other currencies, including the Japanese yen or the British pound, will amount to about 20%. And this is the system that the world is moving to, multipolar reserve system. The United States still remains one of the global reserve currencies, but it's going to share that with all other currencies because the United States at this point will be busy with other things. It is going to reduce its spending, it is going to tighten its spending on one side, and will start paying off the interest on its debts in order to avoid that. The real problem is that the US will no longer be able to borrow unlimited amount of money at a very low interest rates. Because you can only do that when you are the global reserve currency, when you don't have challengers, when you don't have competition. But at this system, you have competition. So you have to be much more careful, and investors don't trust you that much. So borrowing money will become more expensive. So the United States will have to tighten its budgets. Will that lead to the end of the US economy? Would that lead to a complete catastrophe? Well, most likely not. You have to understand that the United States has natural strengths. It's a huge country with a very huge population and very innovative economy, which is why even though that its share as the global reserve currency is going to fall, it is not going to lead to a catastrophic collapse of the economy. It's only going to hurt the people who are sitting on a lot of cash and are not investing, because the real value of those dollars are going to diminish as the amount of debt is going to rise. Imagine the US debt rises to $71 trillion and almost 150% GDP debt to GDP ratio. So the only way that you can protect yourself, the only way that you can profit is when you ensure that you're invested in the right assets. Because if you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you're sitting on a lot of cash, the more debt the US government accumulates, the less valuable the dollars are going to become. And because your paycheck does not rise as much as real inflation, then over time, the middle class is only going to get poorer, which is why the only way, or what the rich people are doing at this point, is ensuring that a portion of their income, or even most of their wealth if you're really rich, is invested in the right assets. What are the assets that are rising in value? You see that gold prices are rising. They have already hit $4,000. Did suddenly gold become more valuable? Well, of course not. It's simply because the US debt has grown so much. The more the supply, there is such a huge supply of dollars in the market that gold prices had to adjust. Stock prices are growing tremendously. Even real estate prices are growing tremendously. So in my strategy is that I'm not literally a big fan of gold, but at this point, probably buying gold actually makes sense. But the best way to invest and protect yourself is to ensure that you're invested in companies, because these companies do not simply become more valuable as the dollar loses its value, but these companies are also capitalizing on new technologies such as AI and technology and are earning real money. So if you want to know what are the top 5 stocks that you should be buying right now, then check out the first link in the description of this video. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.